This is the breadboard version of one of my more complicated fish. I call it the Lieber because of its particular behavior, which will be to jump up off the bottom of the tank and then settle back to the bottom of the tank. And it will do this repeatedly as long as it receives solar energy. How is this effect achieved? Well, solar energy is received by the solar panel over here, which is relatively small in comparison to the motor and propeller over here. Solar panel collects the energy, and it is stored in this bank of capacitors. And the capacitors discharge to the motor when they reach a certain amount of current. The controls for the system are over here. And let me demonstrate how this works by adding solar power to the system. And once the capacitors are charged up, the motor begins to spin, and it does this repeatedly. Now we can control the amount of torque produced by the motor, how long the motor goes on for, and how long the rest period is between pulses by varying the electronics that we use and also the size of the capacitors that we use. So what we're ultimately aiming for is a fish which has enough power to swim up, has enough rest time to float back to the bottom, and doesn't have such a long rest time that the viewer becomes disinterested. And we think we've actually got that pretty close to where we want it at this point, but again, we can vary it just by changing up some of the electronics.